It seems today that all you see is Family Guys with Black Force Energy.
Nah, but let's be for real. How has nobody gotten into the fact this fat safety hazard is an absolute menace to those yanked into his gravitational pull? Peter Griffin been needed a seat at the round table of Black Air Force activity, and I'ma prove it.
Honorable mention.
Peter done dropped a bomb or two over the course of Family Guy's 20+ year run, but this one's got an N in it, and this ain't even the first time. In season 8's April and Quahog, the cast is threatened to be removed from the atmosphere due to a black hole. With only 24 hours to live, you'd think Peter would either make peace with God or spend time with his family, but he's not really jacking that. First thing he'd do is steal a lion. I'm telling you the truth.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Shoots a woman in the face, and finally just goes out to a black neighborhood for the sole purpose of saying the N-word, only to be made king because of it. Listen, you can't not respect it. Heading into season 14, Peter and Quagmire become chefs for an episode. It's pretty whatever, but they both get their own show, leading to squad beef. While training for their showdown in which the winner keeps their show, Peter picks Cleveland to be his helper, assaulting him on multiple occasions in what I'm sure was racially motivated. Further proving my point, on the day of their fated battle, they choose to squash all previously acquired smoke after Peter sends some fat chick to the Shadow Realm.
Erica, you Erica.
However, both don't want the show. Whatever were they to do? Just say the N-word on live television. Absolutely brilliant. They didn't even try anything else. They didn't even try.
Exhibit A.
Remember Peter saying the N-word and being declared king? Yeah, he also just straight up admitted his kids are scum and he don't rock with them like that. And they think they've only got moments to live. That's honestly goat moves. Let's get surgical with it though. I'm gonna start with Stewie, who ain't never really gotten into it with Peter. He's gotten whipped across the face, thrown under a car, abandoned on the roof, and punched in the face. Chris gets it slightly worse, cause I'm not gonna lie, he be holding his own against the fat man. But there are times when he's caught lacking. The first instance is in season 12's Fresh Air, where Peter tries to marry Chris to get a bag. In the beginning of the episode, Chris spends time with his grandfather Carter doing regular bonding activities like struggling it.
Hey, next time I want to try it with my hand.
Carter recognizes Chris's realness, so he makes him the heir to the Peter Schmidt throne. Once Peter hears this, he immediately starts hopping on Chris meat, doing whatever it takes to make sure he get the mushroom bucks, dressing like him, coming up with intricate handshakes, catching bodies, until he comes up with his most brilliant scheme yet, his magnum opus if you will, marrying his son. And Chris accepts, not cause he a freaky guy, but because Peter has worn him down so much mentally that he thinks this is the only way to get his father to spend time with him. Peter's bag chasing mentality don't stop there though. Chris starts getting into baseball, and on his first game, some dude was talking crazy, so Peter tells Cuz to go band for band if he really liked that. After he makes some money, he realizes this is definitely the lifestyle for him. Tragedy strikes when the news snitch on his money-making ploy, as well as Chris not wanting to help his family out financially by holding 1L at the championship game. The guys do what needs to be done and assault Christopher, he loses, and everyone's happy. Alright, prepare yourself for a really weird tale. There's this one episode in season 17, Con Airs, where Herbert thinks Peter's Chris's friend and pays them both $600 a week to mow the lawn. Chris gets jealous because he wants the attention of this freaky old man. Peter hears that, but then gets into a wrestling match with him that you haven't seen on WWE television in 16 years, causing Herbert to bust on both of them. At least we know Peter down to scrap with all his kids. And there's nobody he gets into it more than with Megatron Griffin. She has been absolutely destroyed, mentally and physically, by Peter. The majority of Family Guy's run, to the point I don't know where to start. Instead, I'm gonna paint a picture of sorts. Imagine you're a teenage girl. You've been raised in what most of the time seems to be a loving household. Yeah, they embarrass you sometimes, but they mean well. Then one day, your butt becomes a portal to a whole new world. And when spirits exit, your father is the fastest to tell the family to leave you behind. Thoughts of saving you don't even occur to him. The day after that, your dad cracks you with a baseball bat, then convinces your family to spit on you, gives you up to burglars, following that up with allowing the police to take you away. Peter gets even more methodical with it though. He starts psychologically crushing her, farting on her till she pukes, isolating her from the family, convincing Megan that they secretly dogs, but that she just gotta continue to get dogged for the culture. Y'all gonna love this one if I know you the viewer. viewer, Meg finally says, yo, you ain't gonna be treating me like no hoe, cuz. Straight up, I'm tired of you, old whore, and you, fat boy. Great value Homer built. And before Megan really starts cooking, dude run off like a punk and start crying. But it's all a strategy, cause it lowered Meg's defenses, made her think being scum is her role in the food chain. W secured for the GOAT. More recently, his destruction of his daughter's psyche is so strong, it temporarily turned her into a basketball megastar. I could talk more about Meg, but that's a video for another time. Speaking of, like the video and sub. This ain't a game, don't try to play me.
Exhibit
Justin Peter Griffin done offered all the homies free smoke at least once in life, and he doesn't never back down. Let's start with Joseph Swanson. Right after Peter says the N-word, the next episode in fact, Joe says him and his dad don't communicate like that no more, so Peter trying to be a W-mans is like, let me fly out his dad, #passport bros. But that's the thing with Peter, he acts like he's trying to help the homies, but he's just a snake in disguise. He pretends to be Joe, gets attached to the Swanson lifestyle, and just in his face tells him, your father showered me and I'm keeping your house and family. Have fun with my terrible wife and ugly kids, then leaves. Joe gets tired of the tomfoolery and snuffs him. I'm assuming losing his dad gave him memory loss though, cause he must have forgot who he was in the presence of. Peter Griffin, aka the chicken combatter, aka friend Fader. Oh, he lost. Dad too. It fixed Joseph's relationship with his dad, so mission failed successfully? Quagmire up next to the smoke show, cause he trying to steal bro's broad. We already know Glenn's a sick man, Bill Cosby and women, watching him use the bathroom, and almost sleeping with his own daughter. It's been a long time coming that someone beat the brakes off him. Ain't no disrespect without retaliation. Quagmire admits in an accidental voicemail he's trying to get in Lois's guts, even though he used to be in love with some other broad. I want to say Cheryl? Receiving this info, Peter asks Brian, another man who's tried to plow his wife, we'll get to that later, for advice. The dog tries to tell Peter not to unleash the dog, unleash the forces on Quagmire. Unfortunately, that was an impossible task. So the next day, he lets Glenn come over, plays the voicemail to humiliate him, then pushes him so he's got enough distance for the haymaker of the century. Quagmire ducks it and hits Peter in his fat, which is everywhere, but Cuz ate it like Majin Buu, tackles Glenn to the ground, which somehow already bruises him, exposing he ain't like that at all. They fight evenly until Glenn sneaks Peter with some dirt in his eye. Meg even encouraging Peter to turn this Cretan into a tombstone until they get their fade broken up. Due to feeling great shame after getting fried, Quagmire try to flee the scene, but Peter, like the W menace he is, gives him something to remember him by. Now on to Brian. He's gonna show him who the real dog is, you heard? Season 6 is played again. Brian starts with Peter ignoring Lois cause he's constantly making plays with the homies. In need of a relaxing vacay, Brian says, come watch the people recognize my greatness, and I can respect that. Yet there's something I respect more, and that's Peter's commitment to playmaking. Picks it over his wife, picks it over his dog, yet he's supposedly in the wrong this episode? I hate it here. Brian uses that time to get on stage and try serenading that harlot Lois Peterschmidt, and that's not even the wildest part. Brian being blatant about his horniness after he invited Peter. So had Peter not been out there making moves, he would have been disrespected in front of a live audience. Yo, tell me in the comments, what kind of friend do this? Peter saved him from being homeless and this how he repays him? Truly sickening. Brian spends the day trying to possess Peter's girl, concluding with him forcing himself on her after she's gotten that potion in her system. The moment Peter hears the news, he asks the hard-hitting questions.
Was he bigger than me?
Then immediately pulls up on Brian, who resorts to not only spitting on a friendship, but Peter's marriage, leading the big homie to start pulling out the Carfax, saying Brian shouldn't speak on things he know nothing about. He ain't never been on no missions and he can't retain any of these hoes he be dealing with. Relationships be the length of a YouTube short. Now pay attention, people. Peter always starts his brawls with a shove. The moment you see bro lift a hand to hit you with that almighty push, just know what time it is. Brian tried to prove he's the biggest munch, so Peter throws a couple bombs his way, then throws him off of him. Brian unleashes his inner chain chomp, but Peter's still cooking him. Pay attention once more. Peter Griffin's a combat specialist. He goes for his signature move, the chokehold. And just like Quagmire after him, Brian does some low down grimy stuff, and what was supposed to be an honest fade orders bottle service. Clow! Peter start fighting like a sudden death and he hit 300 damage. He combo Cuz, then hoists him up like Simba off Lion King, then makes him suffer fall damage like Mufasa. Gives Brian some shots that go straight to his head, then gets ready to finish the job until Scum Griffin low blows him, then goes for the win. Fortunately, Peter's husband breaks it up cause bro was clearly cheating and getting washed at the same time. I'm counting it as a W for Peter right now. He's 1-1-1. I just don't understand cause Lois is mid. Peter done talked about the Batcave entrance she got down there, and Stewie planted a time bomb in there set to detonate on her 50th birthday. Like, aim higher when trying to ply one of the homies' wives. Cleveland and Peter ain't never beef, cause it's one-sided. Peter might hate this guy to an almost racist degree. He got a whip and immediately pulled up on the brown guy. He dressed up as a police officer and beat the mustache off this man. Not to mention he belittles the Cleveland show when he gets the chance with no remorse. He also shot Cleveland's kid. Enough said.
Exhibit C.
Y'all had to know I was about to talk about this. Peter done really had to handle some people, from men to women to kids. But nothing gets him hard and active like a good old-fashioned cockfight. Our story starts with a flashback when this huge chicken tries to give Peter a coupon, but Peter recalls Ernie, the cock in question, giving him an expired one. And since Big Pete don't play about his paper, he jumps through a window and fights that man up, down, and all around. It's truly a spectacle. Peter never lets up the assault, but I'm not gonna lie, Ernie nice with their hands, so Peter gotta get vile with it. Bashes his brains in with the photocopier, leaving just enough pictures for not only posterity's sake, not only to send a message, but to have one to frame in case anyone wanna try him in the future. However, the chicken survives, then try to go for a kamikaze, failing and almost turning himself into a ghost in the process. But he's alive! Alive! So naturally, he spins the block, fighting Peter to a standstill, then stopping themselves to ask what they're fighting for, as ignorance is the destruction of man. The two, alongside Ernie's wife Nicole, sit down to eat and bury the hatchet as mafia bosses do. It goes swimmingly, then the bill comes. And since both were raised well, what should have been a simple decision fuels the feud of the century, feud of the eon, feud of the epoch, leading to a slugfest that's momentarily interrupted by Peter paying the bill, cause gangsters have standards. Fast forward a lot of seasons, we see Peter become a nurse cause the town's infected with pure weakness, straight hoes. The weakest of all being Ernie, cause he's on a first class trip to Heaven's Gate. With possibly minutes to live, Peter makes sure to fart in his area, agree that Ernest's passing will benefit the culture, and gets Ernie to admit his defeat. When Peter rallies his family to tell them the great news, nobody cares cause that chicken's a clown. Lois, in her first showing of realness in years, says that having ops makes Peter a stronger man, so he should lend a helping hand to this potential part of his meal plan. Let me cook, that was hard. Which, I mean, I get it, but high key, the chicken bit was never all that. Should have let him pass over and celebrate the holiday. Peter saves the chicken not only because of what Lois said, but due to the fact he's in crippling debt. A very lame sequel / end to an interesting saga. Well, after going through all that, thoroughly convinced Peter deserves his respect as a black Air Force soldier, and you should be too, if I'm being real. If there's any other characters you want me to cover, let me know in the comments, subscribe, and oh, he also pretty easily killed his dad.